Ladies and gentlemen, welcome in to the SRL TCR Friday Night Racing Series. Now, this is a bit of a strange one. Obviously, these are normally broadcasted live to you on the Friday evening. However, with some connection issues, they are being brought to you at a slightly later date. So these races have happened. However, thanks to the wonderful Modern World, we are able to bring you the racing as if it were live right now. So this is all of what happened on Friday night. Round 3 at the Mid-Ohio Sports Car course, and a fantastic course at that as well. We have 13 corners around what is a challenging track, so to speak, when it comes to overtakes and battling, but it's going to take the sheer quality and the higher end of the driver's skill levels to really prevail here and pull off their moves against any little battles that they're having in amongst each other here today. Now, I am obviously in the booth on my own today because, well, as you heard, we have got a little bit of a delay going on. So, yeah, apologies for that, but we're going to do our very best. So let's jump straight into the points. So the points before we headed into this round was as follows. So Adam Delmont currently leads the way for the pro standings with 235 points, and Will Lyon moves up into P2 there, 195, and Kim Andre Bjorklund with 137. Arthur Thurtle just outside the podium spots there with 128. Then follows John Brown, Andrew Lovesey, Pete Newman, Mark Draper, Dan Mould, Paddy Faulkner and Adam McNally. So that is all for the pros. Then there, going down into the pro-ams, we have Neil Stevenson, 185 points. We have Stephen Fry, 150 points. And then Dick Crowther pushing his way up onto the podium spot in 142. Cooper Akers just in behind that, 133 and 132 for Michael Toish. We have Craig Walters, Alan McCain, Fraser Garrity, Stuart Gibbons, and Deju. Following down from that is Connor Pearson, Scott Malcolm, Wayne Douglas, and Fraser Elphick as well. And then going into the AM category, then we have Kev Eilert leading the way with 110 points. Barnes closely follows, 10 points behind that on a flat 100. Then Ricardo Neto on 83. So that is your podium sitters right there for the AM category. Carl Fleet just in behind that with 67. Then we have Rob Williams with 61. Anthony Hilton on 58. Then Paul Hurley, Dan Lewis, Hilton Nicholson, Andy Littler, Frank Cinchetti, and Nick Kent in below that as well. So that is the standings going into this round. Now, let's focus at what's going on track then. Here we are with John Brown going around doing their qualifying laps as we speak, and well, it's going to be one of those tracks where you really do need to try and put this thing onto that podium spot as soon as you possibly can, because it's a tight track, and you can see how sort of, I guess, curvy slash swervy it is in terms of the constant S's of corner shapes, it seems, throughout this entire lap. So it's definitely going to be one that's going to, if it does bring us any battles, it'll bring fantastic battles, but it's also going to be one of those ones where the battles are really hard fought. Now, it's not going to be easy pickings for any of these drivers whatsoever here today. There is a lot on the line for each and individual class. Nothing has been secured. All is still on the line and to play for. I do apologies for any slight moments of no conversating there from me to you. That is just because just finally adjusting one little thing here in the booth with me at the moment. But unfortunately, we won't have any live interviews here tonight due to the connection issues that we were having. However, I believe they have now resolved. Obviously, you guys in the chat will be able to tell me if they have resolved themselves or not, but from what I'm aware, they have certainly done so. Now let's have a look at your lead man then. Here he is, Mr. Arthur Thurtle, 1 minute 30.499 is the quickest lap time around here. Then John Brown, as you can see, the car just ahead of Arthur Thurtle on the track, but in terms of position in the standings, he's currently sitting P2. So he's given Arthur that little bit of an advantage by those guys sitting behind each other, following each other's line, and Arthur taking full advantage of that situation there. But a man that is currently on a quick lap here is Adam Delmont. As you can see, he's gone purple in every single sector. A 120, yes, 129.8. I figured it would be somewhere around that as he came across the line there. You can see Will line, not much between him and Arthur Thurtle, so Will's really punching his way up there at the moment. 6 minutes 30 gone in this 15-minute qualifier. Now just remember, we do have 2 races, so the first one is a 20-minute race around this wonderful course, and then we go into a 5-minute break, 5-minute cooldown, 5-minute warm-up, whatever you like to call it, whatever takes your fancy, before we go into a 25-minute final race of the afternoon here. I'm going to call it afternoon because that is the time we're in right now, and it's going to feel really weird calling it evening when it's still bright and sunny outside, shining in my face in the commentary booth as we watch these wonderful cars go around here in Ohio. So a tricky track is for sure, and I know these drivers do have their hands full with learning different tracks and different lines, because we do have some challenges coming up very soon throughout the season as well. Some tricky courses, I think, is the best way to put it. For example, let me give you some of those now. So after this, going into round 4, we have the Detroit Grand Prix at Belle Isle. Round 5, we have the Autodromo International. I can't talk today. I cannot talk. International. Del Mugello. So we do have that on there, and I've never actually broadcasted over a race at Mugello, but I've seen some racing there and it's fantastic. I can't race the track myself, but it looks incredible. We do have the Hockenheim Ring, followed by Brands Hatch and then Donington, so we kind of do finish it off in the UK scene, and a great place to finish it if I say so myself. But obviously I will be a little bit biased towards the UK tracks, but they're fantastic to watch the racing go around, especially the touring cars. It's always a great showing to see those in the UK and flying around our tracks in their glory. So at the minute, Adam Delmont leads the way with a 129.8, and then as we look a little further down the order here, we do have Fraser Elphick, who is currently P8 but leader of his class. And then going further down from that, we do have Mr. Kev Eilert, who is sitting there in that P1 spot for his class as well, obviously being the leader of the AMS, not only currently in the qualifying standings but also in the championship, the triple one racer there. He's actually 1 point off his car number as it stands at the moment. He's got 110 points in his championship standings, and he's only got that 10-point grace over the top of Chris Barnes, and that's not going to be something easy to keep. It's actually going to prove very difficult as the time goes on, no doubt, as they come around to complete another lap there. You can see the straights on this circuit aren't the smoothest of straights, I think is the best thing to say. It's a bit of a roller coaster with bumps here, there and everywhere. So yeah, not the prettiest thing to go over. You certainly do feel some of these bumps as you fly over them at 100 plus miles an hour with some of these cars as they come around into the long sweeping right-hander, slightly downhill as well. So different trajectories to monitor as these cars make their way around. And they're not really doing too much battling at the moment, but you've got to think when these cars are going to be side by side going around some of these corners, these tyres are going to be burning up like there's no tomorrow. So that's going to be a good old fun watch there. As you can see, the brake discs are absolutely on fire of Kev Eilert's car there, the triple one. Looking elsewhere in the field, then we do have currently in P11 Deck Crowther, who's currently in his Blade Designs livery. As you can see, the gaps between all the cars are really, really close together. There's not much splitting any of the cars out on circuit. We do have a 28-car grid. As you can see, Chris Barnes and Rob Williams currently both in the pits and remaining there for now. Alpha Thirtle's just gone the quickest overall with a 1:29.858. So that is the quickest lap time we have seen this session so far. 11 minutes on the clock just gone. Not much time to go for these guys to get that destined position that they want to start off their race in the prime spot. You can see Delmont trying to put some lap times together here in that SRL livery. That does stand out quite a lot because of the luminous green that covers that car there as well, the number 37. Currently sitting in P2, not too far off of Alpha Thirtle whatsoever. Same with John Brown and Will Lyon. They're all very, very close to each other, all within the tenth of each other easily. And I think that's going to be a hint of what's to come here, or a sign of what's to come, should I say. Because I feel like the racing here is going to be very side by side and almost a little too close for comfort, I think, is the best thing to say here. So it's certainly going to be tense, but it's going to be well worth it, that's for sure. As we let these cars finish off the last couple of minutes of the qualifying session here today. A car that has jumped up into the podium spots is Mark Draper. He's moved himself up there in the white, black and gold Audi, as you can see on your screens now coming down. I believe this is the back straight where Draper was coming through just then. Where there is a kink in the straight sort of halfway down. I will just put out a quick message slash pre-race warning. Unfortunately, due to the malfunctions we had when we were meant to be broadcasting this live, obviously we weren't able to do so, hence why it is a broadcasted today on Monday evening. But unfortunately we aren't able to bring any replays, because if I do that, everything's going to go black and you're not going to be able to see anything. So we're going to have to avoid the replays here tonight and purely focus on the present and what's going on in front of our eyes as we sit and wait for these cars to finish off what will be their last sort of lap or two. So you can see some of the drivers coming to a stop and just jumping in the pits, happy with the time they've done, such as Alpha Thirtle there. He's more than comfortable with where he's at. I think he's happy to be sat there on that P1 spot, but he must be confident that he's going to come away with that first row start, which is looking like it's going to go the way of Thirtle in terms of starting on that pole position. Delmont at the minute is putting together a nice lap. You can see it's nice and smooth and tidy as he comes through the corners there, and it's not looking the greatest so far. 2 yellow sectors. What is the third one going to show up as? Another yellow one, and unfortunately he's not even going to get the lap in. So what we'll do is we will bring you your grid for this race then. So Alpha Thirtle starts P1. Here we have Mark Draper, Adam Delmont, John Brown, Will Lyon, Dan Mould, Fraser Elphick, Adam McNally, Michael Toish and Andy Lovesey. We've got Deju in P11, Deck Crowther P12. And then we have Kim Andre Bilkland P13, Connor Pearson, Neil Stevenson, Stephen Fry, Dan Lewis, Stuart Gibbons, Fraser Garrity, Kev Eilert, Alan McCain, Paddy Faulkner, Craig Walters and Scott Malcolm there. And then we have Anthony Hilton, Paul Hurley, Rob Williams and Chris Barnes as well. So we switch over to the race graphic. You can see there all the pros are sort of near the top. Kim Andre Bjorkland's just a couple places down, but the pro/AMs are getting in amongst it as well. Fraser Elphick and Michael Toysh getting in there, P7 and P9 overall, with Deju sitting there in P3 for his class, but just in front of Deck Crowther. It's going to be a tight start between those two. You can see those two just a bit further down the grid here as we wait for the last couple of cars to get onto the grid. There's your leader. He has appeared. He's here to join us. We get a lovely front on view waiting for race 1 to commence. We will bring the battle box up as normal in the first couple of minutes of the race. We'll let things settle down after the first couple of corners, and then we will do our very best to keep an eye and keep track of everything that is going on. Here the cars are all revving up and we are away. Barney is waving the green flag and the cars come rushing around that turn there, some of them getting unlucky, obviously having to start on the corner. Let's have a little look as these guys come through turn 1. Then Thurtle's dropped down into P3. Mark Draper is off and he is up the road already. And well, he's not waiting around for no one because he is absolutely flying right now. You can see the battle just in behind these guys. Still side by side for some of them. You see John Brown there side by side with Dan Mould, I believe that was. That was indeed by the looks of things. And you see Will Lyon looking to go down the inside. Doesn't go for the move in the end. Decides to sit single file with Delmont and Thurtle as those guys are battling out for that P2 overall. Mark Draper, having just free air at the moment, needs to make maximum use of that and get as far away from Thurtle and Delmont as possible. Looks like Kev Eilert's having some issues back here, potentially dropping back some positions, possibly some damage there. As you can see, that car is going rather slow. He's crabbing actually. Yeah, there's quite bad damage. All there is on the rear left of his vehicle. As we've seen, Scott Malcolm and Rob Williams go up and pass through into the pack. Chris Barnes making a move up the field now as well. As we look through the field, let's jump over to where the Blade Designs livery is flying around in its bright orange, just in front of another orange livery in the Halfords car there for Connor Pearson, just in behind. As you can see on the left hand side, the yellow slash will be the car that we are focusing on. So at the minute it is Deck Crowther. So the cones go absolutely flying there in the background, as some of the cars do end up taking those out, and the stewards probably won't be too happy about that, and definitely not the marshals, who have to run out there and put them back all in quick time after this race before the next one commences. Dan Mould is making moves up the grid, and I believe he's just got by Michael Toysh for P9, and he is sitting there now. You can see Michael trying to defend off Kim Andre Bjorkland, who looked to go up the inside there of that right-hander, but decided to pull out and go for the safer option, sit in single file and wait for his time to shine. Jumping a little bit further back down the grid, Craig Walters at the moment, P21 overall. Chris Barnes just up behind. Can Chris get that momentum going and get that speed to shoot past Mr. Walters? It's not looking like that's going to happen anytime soon as of yet, because the gap is staying where it is. There's not much movement in that at all. But speaking of gaps, there's not much gap between any of these guys at the moment. You can see they all come up the home straight, all in their single file lines, waiting for that prime time to get the job done and to hop out of the drafting, out of the slipstream, and try and dart in front of your opposition, which is not an easy thing to do here in these circuits, where they're at the point where I saw it in a Clio race recently that if you step out of line and out of the optimal racing line on tracks that are such a nice flowing circuit, such as Mid-Ohio here, then it really does inhibit like your maximum times. You know, it really does stop you from getting that quick lap time, and almost impedes your pace in a way. As you can see, Adam McNally having to go a little defensive there to Dan Mould, who's trying to push his way past and not able to do so as of yet, not successfully anyway. So he sits behind Adam McNally right now in P9 overall. Top 10 finish as it stands for Mr. Mould at the moment. That won't be a bad shout at all. You can see Adam Delmont trying to get on the attack, going side by side with Mr. Thurtle. He's going to have to go around the outside. Can he stick the move? He does. He gets on the brakes nice and early to secure that inside line, and he holds Thurtle out onto the outside. But again, Alpha's going to have the inside line onto the home straight. And here they go. There's the leader. You can see 3 seconds up the road now. Mark Draper is absolutely running away with it as these guys battle on. Even more side-by-side action for them. As you can see, Will Lyon's going to try and stick it up the middle almost and make it a 3-wide turn there. And it's quite good that he didn't, to be fair, because I think that could have ended up with a lot of bandages and a lot of bruises in that one, as they make their way round once more then. Only 5 minutes gone and we've still had plenty of overtakes. The driver with the most overtakes at the minute is Chris Barnes, who's up 6 positions, and unfortunately the person that's lost the most is Kev Eilert with that earlier damage. As you can see, we're now starting to go into our Noah's Ark fashion, which is 2x2, but Will Lyon still doesn't like that idea and wants to make it 3 wide, but he can't quite squeeze his nose up the middle. Obviously Delmont and Thurtle focusing on each other, and there you go. There's the little bits of contact you're going to see throughout the race, but it's not enough to spin these cars out or to put these cars off too much. As you can see, Thurtle's now going to have to defend against Will Lyon, and unfortunately isn't able to do so and concedes the position. And you've got Andy Loveseat here on the outside of this right-hander going in, getting the optimal inside line. Can he hold his position? He does so against the car number 3 there. Manages to do it quite well actually against Mr. McNally. You can see there's contact there between Dan Mould and I think that was Dan Mould and McNally. That was, because there's Andy Loveseat that's out in front actually, sorry, in the white and blue car there, the number 3 car on your screen. So my apologies for that one. That is Andy Loveseat. It's Adam McNally and Dan Mould that did have the contact between each other, as you heard, I'm sure, through your speakers or headphones or whatever you're listening to. Go John go. Go John go indeed. John being P5, that is at the moment, so not too bad at all. And P5 unfortunately doesn't get any prize money, I don't think, so needs to work a little harder to be able to afford the barber bill for those horrendous eyebrows. And hopefully we will see that happen very soon. You see Connor Pearson repping the Halfords car out there, number 31, P13 overall, gets the job done over Neil Stevenson and sits in front and almost slows him up just a little bit. And there's now a little bit of a gap just ahead of him that he's going to have to sort of work at clinching back to catch up to Deju, who's just there in P12, a little further up the road from that Honda. So you can see the curves and swerves of this track really coming into play with these cars, because they don't look like they're going that quick, but with the camber of the track they are going a lot quicker than what you expect. They can hold a lot more speed, and Barnes is dropping back unfortunately at the minute. He's now back down to P25, so he's lost 3 positions to where he was before. Deck Crowther also dropping back a little bit now. He's down 9 positions from where he was originally, so sadly he has dropped down a little further. Craig Walters at the minute in a battle, or locked in a battle there with Dan Lewis, and he manages to get the inside line. Can he maintain that position? Can he hold his defence? Is his defence strong enough to keep him back? And they make contact once again. They're going around into the downhill right-hander. That's going to bring Deck Crowther into play as Dan Lewis and Deck Crowther go side by side. They're now going to be side by side all the way down the straight, no doubt. As you can see, the 69 car of Craig Walters just in front there, the Audi, opting for that inside line. Going a little defensive, but he shouldn't really have to worry for Dan Lewis just yet. He's a bit out of lunging reach right now. The person that does have to worry is Deck Crowther there. As you can see, it looked like his car may have got tapped with the old netcode itis, but it seems to be all in working order, and Deck carries on as per normal. Scott Malcolm is getting in amongst it here with Chris Barnes at the moment, and trying to defend his position from Mr. Barnes, who's trying to push his way up the field and get back to where he truly wants to be. Let's jump a little further up the grid then. Arthur Thurtle at the moment still in amongst the battle with Will Lyon and Adam Delmont, your leader of the race here. Mr. Mark Draper is absolutely flying around as we approach the halfway mark in this race so far then. So he's done an absolutely fantastic job up to this very point. Dan Mould still trying to keep the press on Mr. McNally, and it's not going to be an easy job to do, but no doubt he can get his foot down a little bit. As you can see, his brakes going red hot there into the braking zone. He gets right up almost onto the back end of Mr. McNally, and there is the train of cars. So Dan is the last car in this train, sort of for, I would say they're all almost in a battle for definitely top 5, as we bring up the battle box there in the bottom right corner. You can see we are focused on Dan Mould now, just in case of any confusion. We did have some errors just before this broadcast went up, and as you can see, the yellow bar isn't fully on there, so there is a black highlight in the middle. So the black and yellow car in the bottom right corner, black and yellow stripe, is the car we're focusing on, and it's pure yellow in the standings in the top left. So it's just to keep you all posted and updated there as well. Michael Tosh in amongst the battles there in his high-vis car, the Hyundai, as he comes around onto the back of the Audi of Kim Andre Bjorklund in the very noticeable black and red livery there of the car 88, being hunted down by the 43 on the Venari Racing team as they go around to complete another lap. Adam McNally posting the quickest lap of 1:30.115. So a very quick lap indeed, and is that going to help him pull his way through the field? We will soon find out. Paddy Faulkner at the minute trying to set up a move and unable to get it done as of yet. It's not going to be the easiest job to do on Fraser Garrity, but it's something he's certainly going to try, no doubt. Now here is our lovely zoomed in cam of the action that you can see going on as Paddy Faulkner still sitting on the back of the 117 Honda there, and he goes for the move up on the inside slightly later on the brakes and manages to get the move done on the inside. But remember, he's going to have the outside line straight away pretty much because of the way this track swerves and curves. And if he can just maintain his nose sort of side by side with that Honda, he will get the advantage eventually, and no doubt probably get the job done as well. Because the moment you stick your car side by side, that really does cause some issues for the cars ahead or the cars battling. And Stephen Fry has had a bit of a slip up and drops down a position, possibly 2, but he's going to have the inside line here against Faulkner. Note, Faulkner gets way past before the corner and doesn't even need to worry at all about that rejoin or anything really in that situation. This is the onboard perspective for Mr. Faulkner at the minute, but an onboard perspective that I do want to bring to you is Mr. Delmont. Now, Mr. Delmont is in P2 currently. You see he's using a bit of counter steer into that corner, really letting the back end get a little loose and having to keep that thing under control. That is your leader that you can see, which is the little dot just a little further up the road, and 3.5 seconds is the gap between P1 and P2. So Mark Draper doing a fantastic job there leading the race. Here he is all on his own pretty much. If we go back this way, and we've just seen Will Lyon unfortunately off track and rejoins and goes straight into the side of a few cars there and causes a mass pile up. As you can see, that's really, really hard done. Adam McNally there, who got caught up in that, as well as Fraser Elphick. and it looks like Dan Mould has also been a victim of something there as well, as he's pulling off into the infield of the grass there, and carries on. That's a hell of a bump that you see in the grass there. He got a bit of airtime, did the 80 car of Dan Mould. As you can see, he's still driving along the grass. And one thing I've noticed is one wing mirror is the Union Jack and the other one I believe is Italian. Any links there, Dan? Part Italian, are we? As you can see, Dan's trying to get the pace back on now, and he's going to have to do so fairly quickly because Rob Williams is coming up pretty close behind him. It looks like he might have a flat front right, though, so he's not going to be able to do much, and the best thing to do will be let Mr. Williams by, and in fact, he's pulled into the pits, so Williams gets a successful overtake. Nice and safe, no cars in the way at all as he cruises up the grid by one position there. Now, jumping back towards the Halfords car of Connor Pearson. Oh, look, all of a sudden we changed to a new driver, and we saw Sun very briefly on the back straight there. So that will probably be the hottest part of the track. Welcome in to those people that are in the YouTube channel at the moment watching live with us now. The Fast Farmer, welcome in. Mr. BF John, welcome in as well. Go John, go indeed. And obviously, I believe that is Mr. Dan, but if that is Dan controlling the SRL channel, I appreciate you being here as well. Family are Italian, yes. Okay, so there are Italian links. Very interesting. Very interesting indeed. Now, one person that is getting in and amongst it and making this race interesting will be Michael Teusch, who is, I believe, one of the only Germans. I think, in fact, he's the only German that's out there on the track at the moment. So, representing his country solo is right on the back of Kim Andre Bjorklund's Audi. And they kind of lead this chain of cars at the moment, with just under 5 minutes to go as well. So, not much time to get the moves done that you need for that position. Now, we do have your track map there on the top right hand corner of your screens, so you'll be able to see from that where your drivers are on the track, and ultimately see how well they are doing as well. Certainly been an interesting track to watch these guys go flying around at, and obviously remember, we do have a mystery reverse grid number. Now, that reverse grid number is number 9, so P9 in race 1. That will be the reverse grid position, and as it stands at the moment, Halfords will be on the first row, and they'll be leading the way into race 2 after obviously a 5-minute warm-up. But Will Lyon says enough of that, and he wants the action on him, as he's currently 2/10 away from John Brown's car there. John really does need to try and pull out some defensive work here if possible, trying to hold that P4. You can see that long train coming up in the background, still all bunched together, not much between any of the guys whatsoever back there, but Mr. Michael Teusch leads his group, or leads his class, just behind Kim Andre Bjorklund. So if anything, that is ideal for him. Is he going to go for the move there? We saw him slightly stick his nose out, but he didn't go for it in the end. And we saw the same for Stuart Gibbons back here as well, and possibly same for Craig Walters, who's slightly off the normal line. As you can see, all those cars do eventually get around the corner in the same positions that they are in as they entered it. And back up here with Will Lyon, then he's really trying to put the pressure on to John Brown. Deck Crowther now trying to make a move as well. Seems like a bouncing between the same cars. They're all trying to put the pressure on at the same time. And Deck Crowther with his pure white wheels on that blade design livery Audi there, looking to move up to P17 and get the move sorted past the CW car there of Mr. Craig Walters, car number 69. But it's not an easy job to do, as we just breached the 18-minute mark. Now let's check in with your race leader. There he is, Mr. Mark Draper, in the white, black and gold Audi, leading the way at the moment. he's going to get near enough the maximum points for race 1. Near enough. I believe there is some points he will miss on, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong on that, but yeah, at the minute he's had a very dominant performance, pretty much, being P1 from turn 1 all the way to now, lap 13. And with only a minute to go as well, as Deju does lose a position, unfortunately. Well, he's battling it out. He did lose it, but he has sort of gained one from the Halfords car there of Connor Pearson, who's now going to try and get that draft package from behind and sneak back up in front. Doesn't look like it's going to be that easy to do, as Deju looks to defend the inside line. I did then think that Andrew Lovesey was going to send a move up the inside, send it 3 wide, but he chose not to in the end, and instead makes contact with Deju, who unfortunately goes a little wide, and further contact then again with Neil Stevenson. Unfortunately, Deju there getting the double whammy, and that sends him out of the race. So unfortunate coming together there for those guys. As check back in with the race leader. Here he is, and you can see there goes the flags. So that will be the white flag out now for Mark Draper. Arthur Thurtle, 129.9, the quickest lap time of this race so far. Now the leader is on the final lap, so this is what it all comes down to for race 1. As it stands, we do have Andrew Lovesey in the P1 position for the second race. So he's got that golden ticket. The position that everyone wants. Yeah, even though everyone may want it, no one really knows what position they got to aim for, as this is sent to me before the races begin. So and it's not, no one's informed of the positions until we get underway. Obviously this week being a slight bit different due to the technical difficulties we did have earlier this week, but nevertheless we are able to push on even stronger than before, as Fraser Garrity pushes on to get past Deck Kra. The Deck does keep his nose up the inside. Can he hold that position? But we'll come back to that in a moment, because this man deserves all the credit that he is going to get for this race victory. An absolutely fantastic performance. As you can see, he comes by the last corner down the home straight. I'll just wait for him to come through into turn 1. There he is. There is your race winner. Mark Draper comes across the line as your P1, your victor for the first race of the afternoon. Adam Delmont in P2, Arthur Thurtle P3. You can see how close these guys still are as they all come flying across the line. A fantastic race overall for these guys as they come flying by. Not too bad whatsoever. A solid job from them all, as we just wait for the last few cars to get across and finish their races. There goes Rob Williams, and we'll just wait on Mr. Eilert, who is the next car across the line. There he goes, and Mr. Dan Mould as well. So that is Heat 1 there for you for the TCR races here this afternoon. What we'll do is we will bring you your results as well. So here they come on to your screens. Which was amazing, because it's just given away the results for the next race. But don't go back and look at it. But Heat 1 results are as follows. Mark Draper finishes P1, so a fantastic race overall. Very dominant performance from turn 1. Managed to keep the gap around 3 seconds to Adam Delmont, who finished P2. And then just under further couple of seconds down the road was Arthur Thurtle, who is on the podium once again in P3. John Brown just missing out on a podium spot there, P4, in a fierce battle with Will Lyon, who sits there at P5. Kim Andrew Brooklyn, P6 overall, and then we've got Michael Toysh, who's P7 overall. However, he got that P1 spot for his class. Then Connor Pearson, P2 for his class, who's P8 just behind Michael Toysh as well. Andrew Lovesey in behind that for P9, and Paddy Faulkner rounds up the top 10. Neil Stevenson grabbing that final podium spot for the Pro-Am category. Then we've got Stephen Fry, Fraser Elphick, Stuart Gibbons, Craig Walters, Deck Crowther, Fraser Garrity, and as we wait for it to scroll down, Dan Lewis grabs that P1 position for the AMS, and Anthony Hilton gets that P2 position for the AMS as well. As you can see, they're overall P18 and P19. Scott Malcolm, P20, and Chris Barnes picks up that final podium position of P3 in P21 overall. Paul Hurley, P22, and then Alan McCain, P23, Rob Williams, P24, Kev Eilert, P25, Dan Moll, P26, Deju, P27, and P28 will be Mr. McNally. So those are your results for the first race, and as I say, I apologise that the results for the next race did pop up, but nevertheless, we can enjoy the race no matter what. It's because obviously the results don't normally show yet because the race hasn't happened when this is happening live, so there is a couple of things that are different to the normal. So when things do jump, they jump to the wrong thing sometimes, but that's live showbiz for you as we wait for the 5 minutes in this little section of the evening to go on by. You can see we're just over the halfway mark in the warm-up. Now, 25-minute race yet to come. So stay tuned. Make sure you go grab your drinks, your snacks, whatever you may need for the second race before we bring that to you live. And then we round off here with a final speech from myself before clocking off until the Friday evening coming up for the next few rounds of racing. But the commentary will resume and rejoin you here live within the next 2 minutes, so we'll see you very, very shortly. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I have rejoined you here in the booth. And, well, we have a fantastic race 2 lined up for you on this very curvy track, shall we say. As you can see, the bends and curves all around here. And I feel like it's very easy to get lost around this circuit because everything looks rather similar. Maybe it's different as a driver, but certainly from our perspective, everything background-wise looks very similar, and obviously the track looks don't really change too much as these guys will make their way around here for the second time this evening. It's going to be an interesting battle, obviously a reverse grid of only the top 9. So that's gonna bring an interesting spell. We could see similar names up top, but we will wait and see as we bring you your grid for the next race any moment now. Here it is. So Arthur Thurtle is sitting in P1, then Mark Draper P2, which is very interesting. Adam Delmont P3, John Brown P4, Will Lyon P5, Dan Moll P6, Fraser Elphick P7, Adam McNally P8, Michael Toysh P9, Andrew Lovesey P10, Deju Deck Crowther are the next two there on the grid for you as well. And then we have Kim Andre Brooklyn, Connor Pearson, Neil Stevenson, Stephen Fry, Dan Lewis, Stuart Gibbons, Fraser Garrity, Kev Isler, Alan McCain, Paddy Faulkner, Craig Walters, Scott Malcolm, Anthony Hilton, Paul Hurley, Rob Williams, and Chris Barnes as well. I can hear all the cars revving, so no doubt we are underway any second now, and there we go. And now all the lineups have changed. There we go. So Andy Lofty is actually leading the way. That is the downfall to watching from a replay. It doesn't necessarily show you all the truth. As you can see there, the lineup is a little different, so the top 9 were actually reversed. And you can see there's a car off in the background. There's Fraser Garrity gone wide and over the bumps in the background. Early doors for Fraser Garrity. You can see there making his way back on track. Way out of the general direction of everyone else at the moment. As you see, Will Lyon here currently P6, 3 wide at the moment with Kim Andre Bjorklund in the middle of this sandwich. And then you have Mr. Who is that? John Brown. There he is on the outside now. I was about to say inside, but by the time I actually got around to finding his name, he was on the outside line and he stuck his nose up the inside of Will Lyon, and he can't get the job done because now Will's going to have the advantage and takes that position. Sits there in P5 overall. So still in his starting position at the moment, but puts the fight straight onto Kim Andre Bjorklund, and the quicker he can make it up this circuit, the better, really. Because as we saw from Mr. Draper in race 1, you can really get an advantage that if you sit there and keep to your lines and just keep your pace as consistent as possible, it really does pay off, because Draper managed to do that from turn 1 in the first race all the way to the very end. And at the minute, Andrew Lovesey is the person that's going to try and do that to the best of his ability. And it looks like Alan McCain has had a massive collision here at the back of things. Rob Williams almost gets collected there as McCain's car goes spinning around. Fraser Garrity getting back into the mix. He's not too far off the pack now. You can see them just up there ahead, so he's done a good job at getting the times back down. Speaking of Fraser Garrity, he joins us within the chat. Hello, Senor Fraser. Welcome in. Hope you are well. We've got Connor Pearson at the moment sitting there in P2 trying to defend from Michael Teusch, who's a tricky customer to defend against, that's for sure, but the Halfords car's doing a solid job so far at doing just that. See, Will Lyon has managed to get past Kim Andre Bjorklund. He is absolutely flying here. As you can see, the gap between him and Kim Andre Bjorklund is starting to open up, but it's a second gap between the cars ahead. But if you look at that timing tower, that's all of a sudden gone from white to yellow, and that will be going amber very, very soon, as that time really does start coming down rather quickly. Between those guys then at the moment. Jump down to a man that's down 10 positions as it stands right now, unfortunately, and that's Dan Mould, currently sitting in a triple blade sandwich. If you know who Triple Blade are, then obviously you'll understand that reference, but you've got Barnes in behind in the Kraken Racing livery, and then you've got Blade Designs of Deck Crowther just ahead as well. So Dan Mould in a tricky sandwich, it has to be said. Speaking of sandwiches, there's a Blade Design sandwich right there with Craig Walters being the filling in between the two slices of bread there. As you can see, Stuart Gibbons trying to claw his way off into the distance as he comes around down onto the back straight towards the braking zone on the back of this rather large pack. As Craig Walters looks like he was going to be under a bit of pressure there from Deck Crowther. Can he get the cut back? He's not really gonna give him any sort of advantage. Got to put him on the outside line straight away, and Dan Mould looks like he's having a little bit of a tickle up the inside there of Deck Crowther's car, but doesn't get anything from it at all. As Craig Walters still trying to defend that position. Beautiful opportunities for photos here as these guys battle out for position a little further down the grid. But let's jump up the table again and focus on this man here, Will Lyon, who at the minute is putting down some fantastic pace sitting P4 overall and not doing a bad job whatsoever. Top quality stuff from him as he looks to try and get onto that podium spot, and he's not doing a bad job of it at all. That time, obviously, like I said a couple of moments ago, it was 1 second, but that's now got down into the amber where he's within a few tenths. You can see these guys battling out at the moment. Mark Draper is having his, he's got his hands full at the moment with Mr. Delmont, who's not the slowest of drivers around here. Fraser Elphick puts in the quickest lap time of the session. Dan Mould, I think, has just got the job done over Deck Crowther and Craig Walters. So he's got out of that sandwich and moved above and beyond. As you can see, he cuts in there to secure that P14 overall. Adam Delmont and Draper swapping positions once again. You can see the front end of that Audi all scrunched up there after some earlier contact for Mr. Draper. Your race 1 victor, so he's going to be buzzing and hopefully taking that momentum into this second race and carrying it through to get the maximum points out of today's racing as he possibly can. Looking a little further up the grid at the minute, your P2 sitter currently up a good amount of positions as it stands right now, but how truthful that is, I'm not too sure, because obviously the reverse grid wasn't fully into play with the fixtures I have here on our monitors in the booth. Wasn't until I got PTSD from this race. Yeah, I can imagine from the start we've seen. Yeah, I can imagine that. As you can see, Warline looks like he's going to try and get the move done there, and does stick it up on the inside. Gets his nose right next to Michael Toysh's car door there on his passenger side as he comes down on to the back straight. Has he got that momentum that he needs to keep that nose in front and try and maintain that inside line into the next corner, because they'll be braking and they'll be steering towards the left hand side of your screen as we look at it. Obviously it'll be their right. You can see he's done that very nicely there and slots right into the middle of these guys and able to get straight back on the racing line and lose minimal amount of time to the cars ahead. So Willline is slowly moving up the way. Let's go a little further down at the moment. Here's your Blade Designs duo at the moment. Stuart Gibbons leading in front of Mr. Deck Crowther, and just behind him is Chris Barnes as well for the Kraken Racing team. All flying around here at decent rates of speed now. Teammates are going to take it to each other by the looks of it, as Deck Crowther looks to go up the inside of Stuart Gibbons. Gibbons gives him plenty of room and more than enough respect through those corners, but then he shuts up shop and says, Mr. Crowther, you're going to have to work hard on that for that position, and gives him a little bit of a love check as they go through the final few turns here to round off that lap. But Chris Barnes is going to be brought into play as well as he goes up the inside of Stuart Gibbons, maybe trying to get some revenge for Mr. Gibbons on Deck Crowther, but he's going off into the distance through the puff of dust there. As you can see, a lot of these cars going a little bit wide on the exit, but that's more than allowed here at this circuit, and Will Line has got the move done on Connor Pearson, and he moves up into P2. It's only Andrew Lovesey now that stops him from getting a P1 victory here. 1.7 seconds up the road. Can it be done? It's not going to be easy to do, that's for sure, as Michael Toysh tries to get his name back on that podium spot. Obviously was sitting P3 overall, now down to P4 after that earlier push from Mr. Will Lyon there. As you can see, Adam Delmont trying to catch up to the back of Mr. John Brown, and again, that's not going to be an easy job to do whatsoever. All these cars still really close together as it stands at the moment. Then Mark Draper leads the next pack of cars just in behind, P8 all the way down to, I think that'll be P13 of Dan Mould there, and then it drops off again until Craig Walters. So plenty of battles going on there. As you can see, behind Mark Draper at the moment, Paddy Faulkner is only 0.3 seconds away from the rear end of Mr. Draper's car, and obviously that is within kissing distance in racing terms, and that's certainly going to be a move that will happen, I imagine, if I was going to predict anything within the next lap or two. with how close he's got that gap at the moment. But if it extends to so I'd say probably about half a second or more, then maybe the lunge is on, but certainly not a clean overtake, not around this track, with the amount you'd have to go offline just to get the move stuck and done on someone. Certainly not going to be easy, that's for sure, as you really do have to jump off of the line to get the move sorted. Kev Eilert at the moment trying to get towards that P1 position for his class, and that is currently held by this man that is appearing on your screens now. Chris Barnes leads the way for the AMs at the moment, P16 overall, but P1 in his class, and that is all that matters at the end of the day, is class, not overall. It's Dan Mould and Neil Stevenson taking it to each other, not letting each other rest whatsoever. See, Dan Mould having the extra little bit of speed there throughout those corners, does set his car in front by a good amount as well. As you can see, the gap between Mould and Stevenson is opening up just ever so slightly, but it's still within touching distance for Neil Stevenson, so he still could get the job done. Stephen Fry just up the road from those two on the back of this group of four here. There's a little bit of a gap between those as well, but maybe he could close that down into the braking zone. Let's jump back up with Will and see how he's getting on in his chase for P1. See, there they go down the back straight. There's a slight right-hand kink through the back straight. If you take that right, then that could give you all the advantage. Dan Lewis, currently sitting in P23. I got him down here as lost 6 positions. Well, he might not be fighting for the top spot, but as you can see from his picture in the bottom left corner, he's just happy to be here. So Dan's having a wonderful time cruising around here at the moment in P23 overall. Popping up to Fraser Elphick at the minute, and he has to worry about Rob Williams just up behind him. But then also he's got a Fraser Garrity just in front. The battle of the Frasers is coming onto your screens for everyone at home. But just before we lock and tune into that, Adam Delmont really trying to put the pressure down now on Mr. Brown. And that's not going to be an easy overtake to get done whatsoever. And just as we talk about close gaps, here's one that's even closer between Deck Crowther at the minute. Deck Crowther and Craig Walters battling it out and going at it. The car 167 for Mr. Blade Designs there. And coming around now. Can he get that move done, or is that going to slow his pace down and bring Barnes into play once again? We've seen it once already where Chris Barnes has taken advantage over Blade Designs livery cars going into battle. Is this going to be history recreating itself? You know, is Deck going to push a little too hard and cost himself a little bit of time, which brings Barnes into play and possibly gains that position. It gets him further away from Kev Eilert, which is ultimately what he needs right now. As you can see, Deck is really trying to push that Audi to its limits. And this is really battle of the Audis. They're all in the Audi chosen car. As you can see, Stuart Gibbons there in the background as well, catching up at the moment. But number 69, Craig Walters, does take the inside line, but Deck Crowther's now got the inside line here. He's got the advantage leading on to the long left-hander. He does get his nose in front, and can he maintain that position? On the brakes a little bit later. They do touch throughout that corner. Literally pretty much bang on the apex. They actually made contact and had a little bit of paintwork exchange there as Craig Walters does settle just in front of Mr. Crowther once more. Now Chris Barnes is on the back here, knocking on the door. It's not much between those two whatsoever. As you can see, some of the other gaps on the timing tower now starting to open themselves up as well. A couple of attempts between multiple different cars out there on track at the moment. Will Lyon within 1 second of our leader now, so he's really cutting that time down. The 89 car there, he is starting to work his way up the field. But let's go over to Mr. Arthur Thurtle, who, speaking of closing gaps up, he is not far off of Mr. Faulkner whatsoever. So you can see there, 0.2 of a second split the two cars, and then you have Mr. Draper just in front. Now, whether that damage is actually impeding the performance of the Audi for Mr. Draper there is definitely a strong possibility, as we did see Draper walking away with it in race 1 However, this time out, he's not able to get away as quick. Now, whether that could be because of the drafting around this track as well, possibly. He's Dan Mould trying to take it to Stephen Fry at the minute, car number 35, the purple and grey SRL car there. I believe that's purple. It looks like it could be pink, but purple is the car or colour I'm going to go for. You see Dan Mould is trying to push up there as quick as possible and copy his picture and look over his shoulder at Stephen Fry rather than looking ahead towards Stephen Fry. That's going to be the ideal scenario for him if he can punch his way into the top 10 and get himself on the back of that pack of 3 there and try and sort of lean towards a podium, but it's certainly out of reach at the moment. 10 minutes to go of the second race at the moment then. As it stands right now, Andrew Lovesey is your race leader, but Mr. Will Lyon is catching up really quickly. 4/10 split the two now. It's not even half a second anymore. Last time I mentioned these two, it was a second. And the Iron Brew car is really using all of that special Scottish fuel to get his car into that podium spot, that top podium spot where the air is purest, as it's the highest point on that podium. And it's certainly a moment he will cherish if he can get that, and that'll be 2 fantastic results in a row, I think, for Mr. Lyon. 2 weeks that he's had good results, so that'll be a fantastic boost in morale for him after an unfortunate start to the season with the 3-free race series. Craig Walters and Det Crowther exchanging positions once again. As you can see, Craig Walters having to defend against Det Crowther, and it's... oh! Now, I can't really point any fingers there, but when we tuned into it, it just looked the way of no one can get past him, so the best thing to do is we'll NASCAR him and just send Craig Walters into the gravel and spun him out. So a fantastic pit manoeuvre for Det Crowther. LAPD would be proud. And Will Lyon at the moment is hopefully not going to pit manoeuvre our current leader of Andrew Lovesey and hopefully get past nice and clean. But you can see the gap is still the same. He hasn't gained too much there on your leader, but they are sticking together, so maybe he's just biding his time and waiting for that moment to strike, which probably will be the later stages of this race, where he can then make the move, get it done, make it stick, and then unfortunately Andrew Lovesey may then run out of time to get the move back and to counter the position he just lost. So Connor Pearson at the moment trying to do some defensive work and having to do a lot of it as well. Michael Toysh behind him really pushing up high at the moment. So it's not looking good for Connor Pearson. Can he hold off for the remaining minutes he has in this race? And as you can see, the race leader now is going to be side by side with Will Lyon. Can Will Lyon get his car in front? He did have the slight inside there on that right hand kink, but is it going to be enough? They're still side by side. A little bit of a jitter in the steering there for Mr. Will Lyon, but he does go around on the inside, takes the lead of the race. Then Andrew Lovesey gets it back, but has Will got that momentum? He's got that extra gain advantage. The extra mile an hour or 2 is all that's going to make the difference between these two races. As you can see, they almost make contact. They've done fantastically to get around that first turn with no contact whatsoever. Great to see there from our perspective. As you can see, Will Lyon does take the lead of the race, and Andrew Lovesey unfortunately has dropped it. He's now into P2, but he hasn't lost the lead yet. He's still within touch and distance, all of 0.2 seconds in it. There's nothing in that whatsoever, and you can see not only is the battles going on here, as you can see Andrew Lovesey looking to go up the inside. He does so, gets his nose in front. Can Will come back? He's going to have the inside once again, and then he gets back in the lead. You can see Lovesey does go a little wide there. There's contact between those, and unfortunately Connor Pearson does get spun a little there. Another LAPD manoeuvre, another simple pit manoeuvre there onto the Halfords car. That puts Michael Toysh into P3 then. Kim Andre Bjorklund just in behind that. Can he capitalise on the unsettlement there of the consistency in the drive, if you like, for Michael Toish. He's had a fantastic drive so far, but that slight little hiccup could be all that changes things for him. You know, that will just ruin the rhythm and it won't be the same anymore. Keep jumping back to this sandwich because this is interesting, because we've seen Deck Crowther and Stuart Gibbons take battle to each other here several times throughout this race. Are they going to do it again? There's a bit of a gap to be made, and Deck Crowther's going to have to put his foot down if he wants to get that job done. Adam Delmont trying to get the job done on Kim Andre Bjorklund. Only 0.1 seconds in it between these two. As you can see, he looks towards the inside line there. Kim Andre Bjorklund's gone defensive, but Mr. Delmont has stuck his nose up on the inside and gets his foot flat to the floor as they go down the back straight. But has that Audi got the acceleration advantage over the Honda? It looks like it does as they go through the right-hander kink on the back straight. Towards the Hyundai of Michael Toish. Does he get the move done? He does indeed, and Delmont pushes his way up into P4. Now that is a very, very quick racer. Has he got enough time though? Can he sort out that P1 spot within 5 minutes? It's not looking likely, but you never ever rule anything off in touring cars, is what I've learnt so far this season. Cantu TV, hello from Ecuador, welcome in, and hopefully the weather is all nice in Ecuador, and welcome to some fantastic touring car racing here around the Mid-Ohio course. It's a fantastic little circuit full of twists and turns. Didn't realise it was this close. Epic racing indeed. And as it stands, according to my overlay, we do have the most overtakes here by Chris Barnes, 13 overall, and in fact, never mind, Paddy Faulkner is on 14 overtakes. He's got past 14 cars, so him and Barnes are leading the way at the moment in terms of the amount of cars or amount of positions gained. As you can see in the background there, John Brown trying to take the battle to Neil Stevenson. Nothing in it between those two. Is he going to try and stick it around the outside? He is. They're going to be side by side. Is he going to get that switchback or that momentum advantage onto the rumble strips on the outside, down the back straight now? Perfect pronunciation of my name. Oh, is that Mr. Toish? Is that who that is? If that is, then awesome. Because that's been the name I've been so worried about saying all season, and I finally just decided to bucker up and go for it. And speaking of that, that's exactly what John Brown has decided to do. He's pulled his finger out and got the move done, so he can definitely ease off on the pressure a little bit there in terms of getting by Mr. Neil Stevenson. He's got 4 seconds of a gap to close now to Stephen Fry up ahead, and doesn't look like it's going to be that easy to do. Greetings from Germany. Well, again, hopefully the weather is all nice and sunny in Germany, because it was here, believe it or not, in the UK today. So fantastic weather for us down this way. Here is your leader in the AM category as it stands right now. Chris Barnes, car number 245, just in front of Mr. Deck Crowther, and there's Stuart Gibbons in front of those as well. Then Kev Eilert just in behind in P17. So here he is, Mr. Championship leader for the AMs, the 111 car there of Kev Eilert. He ideally needs to dispose of Deck Crowther, and without summoning the inner LAPD, which we've seen a couple of times this race so far, he needs to get by nice and cleanly and start putting the battle and pressure on Chris Barnes. But with a minute and 30 to go, it doesn't look likely whatsoever. Let's jump back up the field once more towards Kim Andre Bjorklund, just behind Michael Toish there, and Mark Draper in P6. Connor Pearson just in behind that, but it looks like Kim Andre Bjorklund's going to have Mark Draper sniffing all up his rear end at the moment with that really crumpled up Audi. As you can see, it's not posing too much of a performance dampener on his car there, as he's still fighting high up in the positions as Connor Pearson decides to test the off-road tyres produced by Halfords there. And as you can see, they've done very well because he's managed to keep his momentum up, and unfortunately they do not come with any sort of guarantee, so he won't be getting his money back if he rips those apart, as he comes through in front of this pack of cars here in P7 overall. And this is going to be the white flag lap. So these guys are now on the last lap. Let's jump right up to your race leader at the moment then, Will Lyon. At the moment, 4 tenths is all that splits the top two. Barnsley for Pro. He's given it some. He's certainly given it some at the moment. At the minute, he's leading his class. And speaking of class leaders, Michael Toysh is leading his class at the moment as well. So a good result, or good start for him. You can see Connor Pearson having to defend there in the background. And he just about does enough defence to Paddy Faulkner and Dan Mould in amongst it as well there. We're going to have to jump towards the leader, see where he is. As you can see, he's coming up into the final few turns now is Will Lyon, as the clouds do make their way over the sun and things do get a little darker here at Ohio, but they only get darker for a few people out there tonight, and one person that certainly won't let that darkness affect him is Will Lyon and Mark Draper, both race winners, and both will be on cloud 9 after this race has finished. As you can see, Will Lyon there comes across the line, and he is your victor for the second race. I'll wait for all these guys to come by once more before we bring you your results, but 129.885 for Adam Delmont, finished P3 overall, but the quickest lap time for the second race. You can see the cars coming along there flashing, and we can confirm that Chris Barnes did actually finish in the P1 spot for his class, just in front of Kev Eilert. 1.1 seconds split the two, so Deck Rather did get that move done in the end on Chris Barnes. So I think that changes John's prediction for Barnes to Pro to Barnes to Pro-Am. I think that changes it just a little bit. But I completely agree. I feel like he's in the wrong class. However, he will not enjoy me saying that, and I will probably receive a delightful message very, very soon when he hears word of what I've said here tonight. And what a fantastic race we have had here so far. So let's bring your feature results then. Mr. Will Lyon is your winner for race 2. And not only did he win the race overall, but obviously he won his class. One of the pros there, Andrew Lovesey, same for him. P2 overall and P2 in class. Adam Delmont, P3 overall and P3 in his class. Now, the next man may have missed out on the overall podium only just, but Michael Toysh is P1 for the Pro-Am category there in race 2, so fantastic result for him. Kim-Andre Bjorklund, P5 overall, then Mark Draper, Paddy Faulkner and Dan Mould are the top 8. Then Connor Pearson, obviously P9 overall, but don't forget he's only P2 for his class, so a great result for him as well. Arthur Thurtle rounds off your top 10, and Stephen Fry picks up that final podium spot for the Pro-Am category, which is P11 overall there, but a good result for him as well. John Brown, P12, then Neil Stevenson, P13, Stuart Gibbons, P14, Deck Crowther, P15, Chris Barnes, P16 overall, but he won't be worried about that. The main thing he'll be focusing on is the fact that he came away with a race victory for his class. P16 overall, however, P1 for the AMs there. Then Kev Eilert, P2 for the AMs at P17 overall. As we scroll down the grid then, Craig Walters in P18, Fraser Elphick P19, Fraser Garrity P20. Battle of the Frasers there, as we saw earlier on. Paul Hurley rounds off the podium spots for the AMs in P21 overall. But then we've got Rob Williams just missing out there in P22. Then Dan Lewis, Scott Malcolm, Anthony Hilton, Alan McCain, JB Deju, and then we have Mr. McNally at the bottom of the pack there. So wonderful racing overall for these guys here tonight, and it has been an absolutely incredible privilege to sort of bring you this broadcast here tonight. And I will apologise that we did have the delay. Obviously this should have gone out on the Friday, but thanks to wonderful service provider, we were unable to bring that broadcast live to you. However, obviously you now have it, you've seen what has gone on, but the next thing to look forward to is the next circuit. I believe it is Belle Isle, so a lot of good close racing to come then, and hopefully we will have my partner in crime Luke in the booth with us as well, because we'll be back to our normal day of the Friday evening coverage. And yeah, we look forward to seeing you all then. But from me and on behalf of the SRL team as well and everyone behind the scenes, obviously we don't have interviews today because well, this is obviously not happening right as we speak, so some people are busy. But what I can say is want to just shout out a massive thank you to all the drivers that took part tonight, and a massive shout out to each and every one of the SRL team behind the scenes that obviously do all their bits to put this on. I won't name individuals, but you know exactly who you are, and everyone appreciates you and everything that you are doing, so keep up the great work, and we look forward to all coming together again next week for some more fun, or by the time you've seen this, obviously it'll be this week on Friday's race, where once again the touring cars will rip up some rubber and hopefully go a bit of door to door over the course of over the course of a race of a 20-minute and a 25-minute, with a 5-minute warm-up in between as always. But we'll see you again at 9:20 on the Friday's race, and me and Luke look forward to chatting away with you for a couple of hours of your evening then, and enjoying some premium racing stuff. So thank you very much to everyone that did join us here tonight, and we appreciate each and every one of you and your support. So don't forget to like the stream, do share it out as best as you can, and we look forward to seeing you Friday. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. 250 at the minute is what we're on. We're trying to reach that 300 goal as soon as possible, so make sure you do subscribe to the YouTube channel. But once again, from me and on behalf of the SRL team, we thank you and appreciate you all, and we'll see you again for round 4. Thank you and good night.